Recording in progress.
Good, please. To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Lower Salford Township Communications Committee June meeting. First order of business is to call the meeting to order, and we have in front of us, everybody hopefully had a moment to take a look at the minutes for the May 2023 meeting, or 2024 meeting. It says 2023 on our agenda. I read that, but May 15th, 2024. Done a great job on the minutes. Hopefully everybody had a chance to look them over, and I actually was appreciative on the online. I double clicked the townships that we had as well. Any questions or changes or additions to the minutes? Do we have a motion to approve the minutes as listed? Approve. Dean, move to approve. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Terry. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those. We have. Thank you very much. John, again, thank you for those minutes. At this point, we have a public discussion or visitor comments. We always ask any members online or members of the public if they have anything they would like to add or suggestions to do so, as well as members of our committee at this time, but not the public discussion. Seeing as we have none, we're going to move on to old business. I think one thing that we always said with our meetings too is if somebody were ever joined, we would still offer them the opportunity to chime in there. Our old business, our off-site meeting venue solicitation. So I did do some follow-ups with these different apartments and residential facilities. Unfortunately, we still don't have a straight answer of anything different yet. A lot of these are run, not all of them, but most of them told me that they had to check with other people as well. And a couple are also wanting to give another thought as to where they would have it to follow up. I did leave a couple phone numbers, and I gave some of them my cell phone number so they can reach out to me too. So that way we can see as soon as they know what we want to do with that. But in the time being, again, we did look through to make extra copies and deliver different pamphlets and whatnot so that they can have them in their vestibules for their residents as well. So hopefully we'll have more information and a little more detailed on that at our next meeting.
Are you still getting a positive feeling that they're?
I'm getting a positive feeling. In fact, this time I didn't visit all of them again. I visited the ones that I didn't have communications, but instead I called. Actually, I visited one because when you call, we ran into before, when a lot of them, they're not even the actual number you call. They'll take you to a leasing office or somewhere else. So the best bet, I think, is to stop by. And as I said, they recognize me. The managers were excited at the idea, and the feedback even from last time is just overwhelming that they appreciate it. They appreciate it great. That's the greatest thing is, oh, we really appreciate this. It's like, oh, we didn't expect the township to come, of any kind of any caliber. So I think that's the big feedback that we get. And yeah, especially at Pheasant Run, I got a lot of positive, and there is a new manager I spoke with this time, but for both managers, as they said, a lot of residents there are very interested. Especially we have information here on just local things like your state senate, your state rep, how to contact, resources you need. And not all residents can make it here, so they said that that's a great idea. And that one specifically doesn't have a venue, but he's thinking about other ideas too. And that's something that we could talk down the line. I think once we establish more communication, would this be something we could have in a courtyard, something like that, just to offer? Because that's very similar to, in a sense, it is the same thing the park board does, go to a park, so it's an outside. And they just sit in a pavilion. Exactly. And I think if we could find, even that kind of space, and that's what I presented this month as an idea. So that's should have a little more, I think, leeway, and that we'll see what happens from there. But unfortunately, no emails. I didn't receive any emails as well as a result of letters, because they did all receive a letter. So I do think it's positive. I think it's just a matter of it's been a month, and it's like, and I think going around again, refreshing was helpful. Too, because that's right. Let's get on that. It's also the end of the school year. I realize it's summertime. They have a lot of their pools opening at facilities, and a lot of
They've got to keep kids entertained.
There's a lot of going on here. So it seemed it was much less busy at the office prior time I went. I think that made it easier, and that was kind of throughout. But I do think it's positive, and I really am looking forward to the results. I gave the board an update with this at our last board meeting. And they were, as Gene and I were talking, pretty positive, excited about this. It's great. And really, any way that we can reach residents, get more ideas for what we do here, I think is all positive too. And again, if anybody has any other questions for this, feel free to reach out to me, or even in between now, I'll share it too. Moving on, our resident welcome letter packet. So we did, I did speak with Holly and go over the final letter. So we do have a final letter set up. Holly this week is away. As we know, she's at a conference for, a learning conference here. So that is great. And hopefully we can get that sent out. My guess is in the next couple of weeks, actually, as we go on to new business. I have some more info that I wanted to give that we're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks. I was able to talk to our manager today just to fill in, make sure we're all good there. So, but yes, I think it looks good. Holly actually printed one up that was really good, but she did it right away as well. So, on me, within a couple days later, I said, no, here's the final one. So it looks really good. And, she does a great job with that. So for that. And yes, they'll be distributed then in the next couple of weeks. Very good. Our new resident page, content recommendations. So for this, any other questions on the resident welcome letter packet? And I plan to let everybody know as soon as it's available. And Holly did say we can make a digital copy as well, so that can be available. And I think that's even something else we put down. A digital welcome packet might be something that it's just be an email from, just even a PDF of the same thing. Could be an email that a residential facility could send to their residents too. But if they don't have a means to print or don't want to print it as well, it's a nice, easy way to get that out there. So we'll have that option too. Are there any other questions or?
Probably need to start planning for the next round.
The next round. And that's going to be I know we had it off every 3 or 4 months. I believe it's 3, correct?
I think you said 3.
I hadn't checked it in this from last time.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be
When
June.
the what the move date cutoff was. We'd be looking for names from that move date. Okay. So that was March or February, or what we used as kind of the cutoff date for new residents.
So I think we should definitely put this down to double check this, and that's something that, should be easy to check. I mean, honestly, I can pull my phone out and do it right now as well, but I think it's important to see, just so we have an idea, we can kind of stick to that. Again, this is new to us as well, the move dates. Good point to John. What was the name for that? I just wrote resident refresh there, but a new resident tally. Okay, and once we get that,
All right, so I'll always put that on the agenda for next month.
perfect, and just so we can at least verbally go over and have
Right.
it ready there. That's good move. Any other questions? Or ideas? All right, very good. And again, I thank everybody on that. I think it's a great idea. I mentioned it, in passing to the residents, a couple of the residential facilities, where we had the time to talk about what else we doing, and it was just an overwhelming, that's great. And it was there, if we recall, was the residential facilities that said, hey, do you have any welcome information? Just something like that. But not everybody who moves in here moves into a residential facility. There's plenty of other people moving here too. So it's a great opportunity for that. So moving on brings us to our new resident page. Now, as we all know, we've been discussing ideas, speaking of new residents, of having a spot specifically on the website, landing page, just maybe something to click. And we explored many different options. We went back, had this information as available for now to just to review. We looked up different local townships. We saw some townships that were similar in style to what we had. We even reached out to townships that might have had the same demographics across the state, just so that we kind of get different ideas. And I think everybody shared a part of that. So our assignment was then to see what ideas we had for a new resident welcome page. We narrowed it down to the things that we felt important. I have it handwritten, but it's also typed right here. And content should be simple, not word. Content should be informative from new resident viewpoints. Content should be easy to navigate. Visually clear, not hard to find topic links, needs to have an obvious organizational structure, example alphabetical. And this would allow to make it easy to find topics without scrolling through the whole packet. And we'd also discussed, whether we will want pictures, any kind of videos, how much links we should have. We didn't want to drown anybody. And I know we have this in front of us, but just to reiterate, I'm reading in case anybody is watching this as well. But we did have a lot of different ideas here. I thought, what kind of things would we like that I could find outside of this? So I took a impromptu survey. I was asking pretty much anybody who cared to listen to me, whether it be a family member, a friend, in fantasy football, who didn't get many responses with the fantasy football. But the idea is, if you're a new resident, what kind of information would you want? So as I put these together, I do want to say first, in front of everybody, we do have what John put together. And I did tell John, and as he came in, I wrote down a lot of this stuff. And when I saw John's, I think this is almost perfect. It's fantastic. So please keep that in mind as well. But again, I want everybody kind of to share their ideas. Hopefully everybody had a chance to look at some websites, look at other townships, and based upon what we felt important, share that information. So for me, if you guys want to kind of read through some of the things that people said, a lot of them were redundant, so I did put some of them together. But the first thing I heard a lot were amenities. That was one of the big things. What does the township have to offer? I can even send this to you if you look there. Sure. Amenities, police was one. What kind of activities? Tax info. This is my short one. The official list there that had everything. So I put some of them together where we could collaborate. Recycling, garbage also came up. Now our township doesn't have that. These are some of the things that people were wondering. Parks, schools. What is a township? I got a couple of them. What's a township? And when they laughed at it, they said, "No, don't get me." One person in particular was talking. Don't get me wrong. I know what a township is, but I really don't know what a township is. That makes sense. We're here. Not everybody is aware. Events was one of the suggestions. Do we have a community day? That was specific with one of the events questions. Is there a township app? Who's in charge? Where the township building is? That was one of a couple concerns. Now it also kind of goes back to what's a township. Fire, trash service, utility providers and their contact. A couple of people said the first thing they would want to know is the info for Pico was one. Is there other options like Pico? Because we really don't know the area or what the boundaries would be. As well as some of the cable outlets I had. There's Verizon, Comcast, people inquired about. I apologize. How to report neighbors and how to report violations, sports, and I got some, meetings. Most of the people who did ask for meetings, I had a couple of people say meetings, and by I say a couple of people, I might have asked maybe, about 40 people, but, who bothered to give me one answers, which was good. But with meetings too, they wanted to particularly know a lot of the information that we've already discussed. I want to know when a meeting is happening that is relevant, to me. Now, my response was all meetings are relevant to you, but particularly, some of the subcategories was, well, what if they're doing something on my street that week? How would I know? And I think we kind of touched that a little bit. That led me to explain, have conversations. And a lot of these people weren't in Lower Southford too. I just asked anybody I knew. But I explained to people, especially the ones outside of Lower Southford, how we have that opportunity, the resident report portal and all. That got some good feedback too. So these were just some of the things and some of them we have had on here before. And I apologize, I went all off with the meetings, not the resident portal, how we can get that not just the constant contact, but the text alert, the Monco text alerts, yes. And with that, you can see the agenda online and then therefore could decide which meetings would be more important for you to attend. Anyway, these were some of the things that I got here. And again, I open it up to any other ideas if anybody else would like to share some things that they did, this month. I also looked at various, I looked at the ones we had and just did some general Googling and looking at various townships, even some boroughs. And for the most part, it's everything that we kind of said. I like the simplicity, if we have, hey, here's a little picture, that might be something that could work. I would curious to see it. But simple, I think, is better. I do like the videos. We talked about them a little bit today. One of the things that our township has started doing is putting QR codes, if you notice, on any of the road signs. That idea kind of came with these discussions that we had too, you know, we can have videos out there that people can view, so. One of the Cape sealing processes for the road, the first time through really looks terrible, you know, the second time through it looks better, but it explains. Why we're doing that, and we've received so much, far less calls, since we've done that, I don't wanna say complaints, I wanna say concerns, you know, there's not really complaints. Unless you wanna report your neighbor, as some people do, but, for the most part, you know, there's, people just didn't know what was happening, and it's just a great way to have that information out there, so we did talk about the future of videos, and I did say, well, that's something that we would like to see. If there was ever an opportunity, so we'll see where we go with that, but again, the board, you know, it's a great idea, videos, I think they work very well in that. In that capacity, you know, whether it would work on our site directly, or as we discussed before, and I know a couple of people, you mentioned it. Different links for different videos, rather than that long segment as. I think Doylestown had, which was fantastic video, but it's tough to watch if you're not. If you're not willing to sit back and know that you're gonna get all the information. So that's my share there, open the floor to anybody else here.
I think the videos is a future goal. I think we should get this up and running first before we go that route.
Absolutely, I think.
And also, I want to bring up again about the resident welcome letter. I think, I'm not saying we should, I think we should have it on here. Not saying in lieu of what we're mailing out, it should be in addition to.
Okay.
Because some people won't get it for
Right.
3 or 4 months and they've been here, and at that point, it'd be like, oh, I already know, like, you know, what I need to know.
Yeah.
So as long as we have the welcome letter here too, the people that move in at the beginning of the 3-month period before we send it out can have access to it.
That's a great point, Terry, and as you say that, you even bring up other, you know, the idea of other opportunities, if you're going to move into a township, the odds are you're looking at a website. Prior, if that is the impetus prior to going, so that's a great. That's a great point, I think that's something that, and John, you can chime in too, but I think especially if we have a PDF, that's pretty achievable, even.
Right.
Without even being right there,
Right, just
here.
Like one of the
and you'll
side
see
things,
Mhm.
like one here, is that the,
Yeah.
probably at the top, that probably should be the first one.
Yeah.
The welcome letter.
Yeah, I think that's great, that's a great thing to have, and it should be something easy to click and
Right.
just as we have our minutes up there.
Welcome letter has the kind of the welcome paragraph and have the. What is it? And so maybe it's not the welcome letter, but
The rough draft.
the content. I mean, if we. On the welcome letter, if we already have kind of. Figured out that these are 4 key contacts. Right, then maybe that goes on. The right-hand side of this page, right? You know, those 4 key things are, you know, on this side.
Yeah, that's okay, that's our. Official.
Without duplicating the whole letter, so we get that piece across, right, without having to kind of duplicate the letter. Right,
But I think we should have something, Keith Bergman welcoming the new residents. We should have some, so if we do the first paragraph and somehow change it, that it's, you know,
Yeah, I
where they
think-
can find the information and then have his.
And I think that's what, correct me, John, but I think that's kind of you're saying is we could essentially make the welcome letter. Right there as well, have here's. Keith's statement, you know, the chairman's and
Yeah.
welcome, and then we have these things to click as well. And I think it's still a possibility, and I would still be for that too, to have the link of the welcome letter regardless, but. Should we have the link of the welcome letter right there, or do we do both? I don't think it's a problem to do both, as you mentioned it, but. Cause somebody will wanna click it, but we do, you run it out.
we have to keep going back to our guiding principles, so.
Which is too much, you're right.
Yes.
And redundancy, yeah.
I mean, if
Yeah.
the objective is to get those key points across, then let's do that. Without having to add another link, because I mean, with this kind of page in our guiding principles, we ought to be able to be critical about every link that's on here. Right?
Yeah.
Keep it very focused.
Yeah, simplicity is is collectively everything we say.
But yeah, I mean, if we, I mean, I again, I just wholesome stuff, but and I think I got this verbiage that I have at the top off of, another page and trimmed it down. But if we replace that with
So,
that welcome paragraph and the 4 bullet points, built that in here. Right? Does that kind of get across that welcome message without anything?
Right,
more?
without
Yeah.
another, yeah,
and really, as you say it too, I think, yes, what you just said, absolutely, you still have this stuff at the bottom. I don't think this is crowded information. Maybe, the picture not necessarily, but the picture also serves to show what it would look like to have a picture on here. But-
It wasn't so much the picture. What I was trying to get at was the fact that it's a map to the township. right?
Gotcha,
And-
gotcha.
And that picture can be,
Anything,
much
right.
smaller, right? I mean, it's taking up a lot of real estate here that it doesn't have to.
But I like that so much too, because it gives us an idea of what it could look like with or without a picture, it's discussed too. So, yeah, and I think administrative office hours, I think that's huge, I think that's
Yeah.
great,
Plus
even
we
though it's
also have
all
the
over the
address.
website, it is though, however. It is right up at the
Oh,
top,
it is
right,
up
if we
top,
wanna, but it doesn't have hours, it doesn't have the hours, I think. If I'm a new resident, I wanna call somebody, I'm probably gonna click my
Right.
new resident or contact to find the hours, so. That, we can debate, but let's say, what does everybody think of having hours up there?
yeah, I think that's important.
John?
Yeah, I think
Yep.
both the office hours and the police office hours,
I
I
think-
think are key.
I agree with that, so. If anybody feels differently, feel free to chime in, but I think if we do keep them there, which seems to be consensus, putting them down at the bottom really wouldn't even be. If we wanted to put something else in there, but that is good to see right away, I don't see that as crowded, that's information that I see as expected to be on there, I guess that's what I'm saying, so wherever we put it, I don't think that's too much. When it comes to resident request portal, that's something that we can discuss too, now I do like it being on there, but that's not information that I feel I'm expecting to see, that makes sense.
Except it was one of, your inputs, right? How do you report?
There was, and it does tie into some of these, and I noticed that with yours, how some of them. How some of them do too. But yeah, amenities, work, or how to report somebody, report violations. And you put right here too, share a concern, report a repair needed, share an idea, that answers a lot of questions. I like having the resident request portal on this.
Yep.
Especially all the work we put in it for, for these reasons to reach residents who. Have any, for all the information it has.
You get any feedback, Kevin? Obviously, all this is like digitally accessed information.
Right.
See any feedback where people are concerned, like, I don't use the internet that much, or I don't have access to it, right? So how are you doing to get this information?
I want to say that I didn't, but the reason I say I want to say I did is because I am aware, and we've discussed here, that is something that we should always be aware of, but that is something I didn't necessarily get, and my question was rather simple, I mean, even asking my parents too, anybody, I simply said, if you were a new resident, a new township, what's one thing you would want to know about your township? One thing that you would want to know now as a new resident from your township. And originally I was like, people say, oh, traffic, I'm like, well, we don't have that, we put them down, but no, unfortunately, I didn't have anything like that, but I did have how to contact them. And I think that's broad, that could be a phone call, that could be an email. So no, but I go back to that principle too, to keep aware. That said, we have to. I want to say soon, because people could be using this at a library, stuff like that, but we have to figure that they should have some kind of access that brought them. I think we should make this aesthetically on there, but with the welcome packet. Touch that too. I like the resident request portal. I guess one thing that we can figure out then too, where we want to put in, I think we could kind of put this down here too, I hope to. What I wanted to point out is, again, I like where it says share concern, report a repair needed, share an idea. I don't know if that was already on the website, whether you put that, John, that sums it up pretty quickly.
It was there with more words.
Okay, and that's why I wanted to ask them too.
So
but-
again, with our guiding principle of keeping it simple and not wordy,
Yeah.
I tried to narrow it down to as few words as possible.
So my question, and you answered that again, and may agree with this, is I was going to say then, do we want to put more or do we want to put less? But it sounds like with John doing that work, I trust that that's the important things right there. I like that. I like what it says, just because what's a resident request for? We know that that's all new, and that's not something people would be familiar with.
I think people like to broadly interpret report a repair needed.
Perhaps. Report. So.
For a township repair, is that what you're? Report a township repair needed?
And you can elaborate on this, Gene, but when you do click the resident report request portal, it does explain on that what it's used for.
Yeah,
But it's not explained, and I think what you're saying is it's not explained on it here. Yes, someone could figure it out after they click it, but should we put some kind of different wording on there?
How about if we just do under
Non-emergency.
resident request portal, under share a concern or idea and leave report a repair, because if there's a repair, that's a concern. Right?
That's true, that's true.
So we just have that one line, share a concern or idea.
We can say share your concerns or ideas with the township instantly, or something like that, or share your. I like that idea, Terry. Anybody else?
So we can get rid of two sentences there.
Is everybody okay with that idea? And you say that one more time, I don't know if you got that, so just have share a concern
Or idea.
or an idea.
So one line, share a concern or idea.
That's
I
intriguing to
like
me.
the idea of instantly share.
Or instantly with the township.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You report it on there and it's
I-
there, it's in
I
the
like that.
township's hands.
It's very good, because yeah, I'm intrigued now, I want to click it, curious.
So when they click it, there'll be more information,
Right.
so we don't have to put all the information on the description.
And to go back with Dean says, well, should we say, if we do go this route, I'm for it too, share a concern or idea, do we want to have before or after that statement? Instantly share a concern or idea, or do we have share a concern or idea instantly with the township? We don't even have to have
Save
with-
on words, I would just put instantly
Instantly,
in front of
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Yeah,
then the
instantly
spaces
share
in
a
front of the
concern or
word,
idea.
And that's it.
I like it, John.
Yeah.
And then once they click on, if it's not related to the township, they'll realize soon enough, it's.
Right.
Yeah.
Instantly share a concern or idea. That's perfect. We could opt to have or not have the logo for the resident request portal too.
Yeah,
I think it needs to be more clear if it is there.
These were blurred just from.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is. Make
But I thought about that and I specifically left it as image, the icon.
that shows.
Well, it's because it ties it into the other website and that icon is used other places. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they have the visual image in their head.
Very
Right.
good.
Yeah.
Right.
I, for that reason, I like keeping it there. And-
Yeah.
And also, if you looked at it, and this was something else I was gonna touch too, just having the snow thing, a snowflake, a tree. Obvious, it might not be obvious, but presumed that there's more to it than just
Yeah.
what somebody might have suspected. I wouldn't think, oh, wow, snow, what's this? Oh, wait a minute, tree. Because that was one of the highlights that we have with that.
Should we put it,
Go ahead.
it's advisable or not advisable to put something in there that. That requests reviewed daily or requests reviewed by staff.
I think, I don't know if it would be necessary. I think we don't want to overcrowd it. I know some information is on there, but it could be helpful. Anybody else have?
You
say
have to be careful about creating to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
In case something happened or the office is closed one day for a holiday, then.
And that information, I can pull it up right now, just to double check. I know that when you do click it, it does say expect an answer, and there is some time limit. That it does say within a couple business days, so it is written a disclaimer on there. But I think what Dean might be saying is correctly is that just so people know who they're contacting, that's going directly to the township and nothing else, correct? Is that what you're?
Yeah. Something to the effect of reviewed daily by township staff. or something to that effect, so that they know it's township, something.
What a timeline.
Here, well,
That
here's,
consistent basis.
just as a reminder, here's what it says when you get on there. It says, welcome to Lower Southfird's portal. The portal allows residents to make requests for service and report community concerns. If it's emergency, call 911, relay to public sewer contact. Please allow up to 72 hours from time of submittal for the township to review and begin processing the request. So it does have that right there.
I don't think.
Concerns will be addressed during normal township business hours, with most requests being resolved within 1 or 2 business days. If a report comes in on a holiday, weekend, or after hours, it will be addressed the next business day. So I know that was something that was a priority to put on when we did that, and I'm pretty sure we came up with some of that wording at some point. But I forgot too, exactly what it says. Mine doesn't reload all the time. It is very helpful if anybody's watching, definitely take advantage of that request portal. I'm actually putting a side note for the portal. I wonder, I don't want to just go way off, but just briefly, we can go back to it. And I am going to put it because I'm going to ask if there's a way that the township could communicate back in there, post like a message or something, or what extent that could be in the future. So again, I know we can control the text messages there, but it's another way of saying, hey, alerts, you know, something like that. I have more in there. I'll write that. We'll go back to that.
You have a puzzled look on your face.
Yeah, I was thinking,
Where you're headed there.
and I don't want to go too far off, but if there's a you know, if you're using the portal, if we could contact, you know, like say meeting coming up, kind of share that same text message, or that would be redundant, or some way that you could kind of send a message back in the future.
Send a message.
It could go back either, it could go back. Not sure. I guess I was thinking more of it as an app than a website, I guess, when I go in there saying portal, and that's what I was kind of thinking. I'm gonna tease on that, but I'll go back to that. I wrote that. This
Yeah.
another idea. Regardless. So we have the resident request portal. Now that we know what it says, do we still want to add more to it, or hope that if someone clicks it, they could figure it's a
I think
township?
that's fine.
I think so.
I think so too. In fact, I was leaning where you're waiting until I read it. There's more to it than I thought,
Yeah,
which does sum it up. So we definitely want the resident request portal. Anything else we want right on this main information? Should we do that now, or should we cover maybe the sidebars?
Oh, there, when using your list, is there any other things on the list that is so key that it should be right on the top?
I kind of think it would be nice to have a picture of the township building, just to make it more interesting.
Or
So it's not,
kind
yeah,
of feel? Okay.
and so they can see what the building looks like.
I definitely don't have a problem with that, especially seeing how it looks. I wouldn't want to overcrowd it.
Right,
And,
but
you
yeah,
know, if when we did talk, there's a couple that had like a welcome mat, one had this picture of the police, you know, something like that, didn't look too bad. You know, one of the things I heard a lot of, which kind of threw me off only because when I had this idea, I was like, let me ask residents, and it turned to, well, hey, how you doing? Can I ask you a question real quick? A lot of people did ask about garbage recycling.
mhm.
That's something that, again, I grew up here, so I don't, that was never something that our township has offered to residents. But it is that was one of the most requested that I got, you know, oh, where's garbage? A lot of people ask that. So is that something we would wanna just put a sidebar, Lower Southford Township? There, it does not have, and I don't know what the wording would be, but it does not offer services. I know we have a list already on the website, and I don't know where it would be. And I apologize, this will just kind of come up with on the spot
And
there.
that's what I was gonna ask, is it already in the FAQ?
I believe it might be in an FAQ, probably is. I know that that's something that. But, and that said, is that something we want to put on there, words? I thought about this and I couldn't think of any specific way of putting that, but it definitely was one of the more popular questions.
I mean, is it,
We should
is it
have
as simple
something.
as the township, you know?
That's what I'm saying, if there's-
Garbage and trash and recycling. Township does not provide.
yeah, township does not provide trash or recycling services.
Yeah,
And that's,
But under the FAQs though, so we don't have to do a separate like link on the side. You have a thing for FAQs right here, so,
and that FAQ
Exactly.
takes it to the township FAQ.
oh, does it
correct?
really?
Yeah, so I'm on that right now, that's why I just want to, No,
But the question in my mind is it so key a point that it should be sentence
and that's what I'm.
right on the front?
Who do I contact for trash pickup? Where do I get a recycling bin? Are on the FAQ, but back to what you're saying, yes. Is it because it was that pressing, and I don't know, it, perhaps you all could offer a different perspective. When, if you've lived in a previous township or whatnot, that seemed to be the one thing that people who, oh, township, oh, I gotta know where to get my trash, know how to get my recycling, almost like a go-to for a lot of people. And if that's something you're familiar with, that might just be the first question. Oh, what, I gotta get my own trash. And
A lot of people maybe coming from apartment communities
that true.
and they typically provide that, you know, there's a central location for you to leave your trash and recycle.
Here's
Oh,
what
well,
our
I
FAQ
mean,
says.
how about if we kind of pencil it in
As a
as
thought.
as possibly on the landing page, right? Like, something very simple, one sentence, as you said, the township does not provide trash collection or recycling or something like that. And then as we flush this out, we see how it fits or not.
I like that. There's something else I could add to that, which I did know this, and I have to admit, I would have slipped my mind if someone asked me, but reading it, I remember. So first, the question for trash pickup, the official answer is trash and recycling pickup is through private haulers. And then it says you can look under rubbish and garbage removal in the phone book for a list. But for more information, you know, here's recycling though. Recycling bins are available free of charge for new residents at the township office.
Oh,
So that's another thing that we could. Well,
But maybe
to
we
get
should
people
add-
to come in here,
yeah.
whether we want to say right on there, it might not be something here, but even on the side, did you know, come in, get a free recycling bin.
but maybe we should have then a separate link, but keeping that wording, but with a separate link under the new resident, but keep the same wording. That's under the FAQs on the main page.
Yeah, or I agree, kind of keeping the same wording, right? But actually move it to the.
Right,
the landing
Basically.
page.
right.
And it could be as simple as, and I'll repeat it again, I think trash. Available through private haulers, or it's. Trash and recycling pickup is. Through a private haulers. Might need to word that a little bit, just because it's kind of random by itself when you don't click that FAQ. So, but yes, you know, one of that is available through private. Haulers. However, new residents can. Come to the building to obtain a free recycling bin. Maybe something like that, and that's just, that's a lot to say, we wanna try to cut that, but. We're open to some ideas, but I think the main question that we would have, as John said too, do we want that right here? It sounds like the consensus might be something to see maybe at the bottom.
Mhm.
Before somebody goes and clicks, it gets lost, that
Right.
might be one of the main things. So I say definitely add that, before we get too crowded with this, just to go back, we did talk about the idea of having these links. Right here, and I still think that that's a good idea, the links that are on the welcome page.
Yes.
So we want them on there as well, so we are aware of what else is on.
I'm still fine, if it's too much information, I'm still fine with having the welcome letter here. And like keeping this as is, and the welcome letter here, because if we're getting to be too much, then it's gonna be too busy.
Yeah.
With everything.
I think we'll be all right.
I think all
We'll
the
see,
print
we'll
is
see, as
large
it-
enough.
we'll see as it.
They always change it.
Yeah, I think everything's just big enough that your eye, what you most want to see is what your eyes. Big enough that for you to pick for your eye.
And that said too, we didn't really discuss this, but you know, we've talked about different ways of how the website gonna look. Was I think this style, and I'll get your opinion as well, John, I really like this style because of several things. The other thing that occurred to me right away too. And I don't want to say it's easy to do, I don't want to put that on anybody, but it does seem to be a lot less. A lot less workload that would be to design something completely different, you know, if you already have, if there's a way, I know with my websites. Kind of copy the back, you know, okay, copy this code, here's the layout, now we just have to add the text, and I think that was one of the. Things that occurred, you know, was a positive to me, if we have a change, it shouldn't be that difficult to fix that. I also want everybody to consider, feel free to chime in on the things on the side here, that pull down. I think having,
And they're just examples, I just pulled some from now. But what I started to do is go through the website. As you go through it, each category has a lot of stuff. So I was looking at it and trying to pick out like, what's the one thing out of all this information about parks, what's the one thing that I want to know as a new resident, or, you know, of all the information about, you know, whatever, right? To try and kind of whittle it down. Regardless of what I have there, that's what I was thinking, is that you kind of get what's already available in the whole website, and you get to that real, that's something that's really key to a new resident.
I like what you have laid out here, and I like that breakdown a lot there too, that thought process. Now, just a question then. So when I saw this, I see parks, you click parks and it takes you to the park info. Is that the idea you meant, or any even more specific, what do you think? I think, I like the idea of going through.
I think with parks, it's the parks page, because I think the parks page has the summary of each of the parks.
Right, and that was the idea. I thought that these will take you to the
And then
page.
there's some other stuff there in parks, but I think this takes you to where there's a summary,
Right,
each.
and that was one of the things I got a lot of parks, so, you know, not specifically parks, but where our playgrounds. You know, where our, you know, any kind of pass, not a whole lot of walking pass requests, which have surprised me, because I do usually get that in general, you know, but with this specific thing, I think people were getting to the point, what do I need quickly, you know, we'll discover that, but parks was one, you know, playgrounds was so a lot. Any kind of ponds, any, you know, any kind of open space idea, but all relating to parks. So we also have on there history. I like how you put that on there. It's something that, you know, not somebody said, however, as a new resident, I'm not gonna go immediately say, I want to see the history of this township necessarily, but you get there, you say, oh, wait a minute. Now that I live here, let me learn a little bit about that. I like that on there. Not against
Yeah, you
that.
might not do it on the first visit, but you're probably gonna do it second time. around.
Yes, and it puts it in your head that there is some history.
Right.
You know how rich our history is. And, you know, then all of a sudden they look up and found that it's 1741 at the top. And start thinking about that. Voting district maps. Also helpful. I think that's, you know, something that, again, I take for granted growing up here. I haven't really changed too much. Even voting districts, you know, once in that regard, but that's stuff that is definitely very helpful to have and important. FAQs definitely up there. And the quick reference guide I like as well.
Do we need the calendar? Only because they can click up here for the calendar.
That is
Yeah.
important, yeah. I was gonna say yes until you pointed
Right.
it out. And that's assuming that this will be the same layout. And I think we should make that clear, you know, once we finish all this, make sure we can have that same.
Well, they'd have to click on this to get to the new resident info anyway, so.
Now, looking at up there as well, I do know that the e-news sign up is up there with the @ sign, but I do like having it there, right? Because again, I think that that's not as obvious. I'm not as familiar with that as a sign to click, but I know there's a constant contact. sign.
My assumption was they would click on that so they could sign up to get news, correct?
Yep, and that's a sign up to the customer. That's a sign up to the constant contact, but I think this logo next to the social media. makes
that-
it one.
Start an email.
Forget which. Regardless, I like having the news sign up there. I'll double check. Oh, that is an email. Okay, that's an email. Okay, very good.
Is it a brown background on the township website?
It's a similar color, looks kind of like that.
Yeah.
It's like a reddish,
Yeah,
and it works well on this. Again, these were
right.
printed and then copied. So I do like having the news. We'll scratch the calendar. Parks, and again, if anybody wants to chime in with preference of order, if that's, you know, something, I think FAQs is definitely one of the number one things. If we do order, I'm okay, any order, but that's one I would just give preference to. Quick reference guide, I like. Anything else that anybody can think of, and again, we have so many great things to click on our website, and that's just kind of what we're doing is letting people aware of the quick things that they might be looking for by going to the new resident welcome page. Not necessarily by, perusing it.
So you have tax info on your list. Jess
Oh, yes,
also-
Jess also mentioned that
Yeah.
that was something too.
Now, she said budget and taxes. I don't know whether that's the same or two different things.
It's interesting. I've had a lot of. And I know just from current residents, I've had a lot of people reaching out, asking about our budget now. The budget was approved, obviously, last year, November, December. We had long talks about it. The supervisors had long talks about it. But now I know because school districts are finalizing their budgets, whatnot, a lot of people have been asking me, and I have recently been explaining exactly how the property taxes do work. As you know, so they're kind of lumped in a lot of times with the mortgage company. So if you look at that, it says, here's your property taxes, and that's why everybody says, hey, your property taxes. So I don't know exactly what you mean by the whole budget, but we could have a link to the budget. And that I think, and that's what I was getting to, I think a link to the budget is good to see maybe what people, and I'm pretty sure we have some on our website,
Mhm.
definitely would have that information. But that would show right there what the budget is, where the taxes go. Another thing, as I say, it's a lot of, this is what I was getting to. I believe it was in our, one of the newsletters that was sent in. You all may have seen this, there's a dollar sign on the newsletter, and it shows how much of the property taxes, are going to Lower Southford, how much go to the school district. Is that an image we would want on there? Is that a
already
relevant
something?
image? I don't know, honestly, I should know, but that's, that's all that is what I thought of
Yeah.
Jess's question as
Right.
well,
Yeah,
whether.
I like that.
Because again, then that kind of also. I don't want to say this, but people can get an image or, oh, this is what I think this township prepared, and they come in here, but when they see, oh, wait a minute, you're not charging me as much for that, here's where my money's going. Might be good too.
Maybe
So
with a budget pie.
Then that's my question, yeah, do we want to do something like that right there? I know that's on I think it goes out a few times in that newsletter. I've had people point that out to me, that's why I always know that too, and I remember looking at that prior capacity and learning. Do we want something like that, or do we want just a link to the budget over here? That's what I'm just opening the floor to, those different possibilities that we could do. You wrote down budget on the side. I like that. I like having the budget there. And then I guess my question is, and the reason I thought of the graph is because, again, it might be hard to interpret the budget, right? If you're not familiar with that as well. That is what made having that layman's terms, how we could do that too.
So let's,
That could be for discussion or.
okay, so two possible things there.
Right.
The actual budget and this graphic of how your dollars are broken down.
I almost want to get up and go get a newsletter, but I think if you're familiar with it, it's just a dollar bill, it's color coded differently.
So then what about tax information? Is it?
And I guess that's kind of great you said that, because that kind of could be, and I did have one, I definitely had a few tax questions, tax info. And that kind of fits into the same thing, it shows, that image shows where your taxes go, but. People might want to just see the millage. And then again, does everybody understand what a millage is? That's the question that we run into. We want to keep it simple, but we also want to make sure that people understand what they're looking at as well. And coming from a perspective of, I did have more than one person said, not really sure what a township is. I know them, I live in a borough, don't really know what a borough is either. I've got to tell them that. And it's understandable. You watch won't be in this one, but it definitely is in a few of them.
Yeah.
I often have seen.
Yeah.
And so these are just some ideas for the budget. Again, I'm open to however we want to interpret that. I like the link on the side. And if you maybe just even having, if you have questions, contact the township. It's like, anybody here would pick up the phone and, if they're not sure exactly, they'll give it to someone, one of the staff who could break it down entirely for someone. Be happy to share that information, and we get called like that. So these are a couple different options. Oh. And, you know, maybe something like that might now, looking at, might not be as necessary, but it does answer a quick question. That doesn't give a number. And that might be more specifically with people who are newer. Are looking. Thank you.
How recently? So the spring and summer of last year, that,
And I know they go in probably like once a year. We'll see that.
yeah.
Showing it, yeah.
Yeah, I always thought that was insightful. And so that's another idea.
I was a little distracted there, so on taxes, what's the thinking and what's?
Well, that's where we are up in the air because again, that looks nice, but that doesn't say the average resident assessment or so. So the average might be something we could put how much assessment, but it's hard to say. I look at that as a new resident and I say, okay, but I'm still paying taxes, you know, they're not, my primary focus might not, as I say it out loud, might not necessarily be where it's going. As too much, how much I have to pay, but I think. That is something though that people ask a lot too, so I guess there isn't an answer, but these are different options that we have. Do we want to just have our budget? So people can understand that, and if you have questions, contact the township. You know, questions about the budget. Contact staff, somebody could break it down for you.
So I'm assuming the budget's not on the main page, like link not on the main page.
It's on the website, I don't
It
know where it
Be
would be.
under,
I'm not sure either, so I know that I can view it right now, just if I wanted to quickly view it, but there might be other ways. I could go to the meetings, I could go to. In the beginning of the year when we approve it, it would be one of the additional documents, so it's definitely on there, and we could even share a link just to get there. I'm not sure off the top of my head, I'm looking now. I don't see a specific budget and taxes, here we go.
where did you find that?
This is one of the things you can click. The 2024 budget is available for viewing at the township office, or you can request a copy using the right to know request linked below. So that's what that's,
And
we
that's
could even
the
just put,
main page.
there is a budget and taxes. Or we put, as we did with parks, budget and taxes, and people can click that to bring it.
Bring it to the, okay.
And that's
Yeah.
easier on our end too,
Yeah.
but. That's another option. Then it does have the right to know. The township encourages residents to mail the tax payments directly to. As always, if you have concerns, that's our tax collector number. In the office hours for tax, mail. And yeah, it was presented to the board November 1st. It does have the millages on here too, so I say this is perfect, and here we go, where your tax dollar goes. It doesn't have specifically the graph, but it does break it down, so I say.
Yeah, just
We can
link to
just
that.
send this,
Right, yeah.
has everything, earned income tax collector, assessment. Thinking of appealing the assessment, that's fantastic. So yeah, I think it's just,
Township.
this is on the township, so it's one of the things you can find similar to like the parks. In the history, I think just having it take us to that answers that question. Sorry for that extra time
No,
we
that's
did
fine.
there, but we covered a lot of what do we do, so we
Yeah.
can get to that. So I say budget and taxes, since that's how it's written here, and just do it like.
Do the same, yeah.
Now, these links are available. And I'm not saying they should be anywhere else, because it makes sense. If you want to find them, you can, but you have to go in, click your community, and then you can go down and see the sub things, which is
It's
helpful.
easier, yeah, be easier like.
For a new
for it,
resident,
Right, exactly.
Give them time to look
And
through.
even for old residents too to find.
And I meant new in timing of entering the township. So that should knit that one there. A couple other things that are on here, we might as well just go over these real quick as well. Meeting agenda and minutes. I don't think we need to put a link to that since we
No.
kind of specified that. Contacts and links, I don't think we need. I think that employment opportunities, I don't think is necessary. FAQs we have. The history, you could bring them to the history, what we have. Public Works.
Like, there is a
Card-
history on the main page.
Yep, and that's just so clarify too, what we meant by that, I apologize. So by history and by parks, because there's info on history of parks. When you click the history, presumably if this is the welcome page, it'll take you right to here.
Okay.
So that's the goal we have.
So everything we have here is already printed
Yep,
up.
these are things I'll take,
Just
so
like,
yep.
go to the, okay.
Right, and
Apologize.
there.
not making that clear.
Perfect.
One more time, the news would be the constant contact sign up
Right.
that we have.
Mhm.
And that there's a section there, the parks brings you to the parks section, history to the history. And we even have the voting district map on here too.
Good.
FAQs, everything is on here. And that's why I'm just, so we have so much, and that's why I'm reading through now. So if you
Yeah.
hear anything else to say, hey, let's put a link there too. Keeping in mind, we don't want to overcrowd, but I think these are great. Then building and zoning has a whole department of the permit applications, ion development, zoning, map, design guides, ordinance, permit fees. I don't think we need all these on the side. I think that's stuff that, you know, they'll look around. Police, we do have information on the police. It might be worthwhile just to have police on the side, just bring it to the police section. That's not,
Yeah, 'cause they have their own,
We
they
have-
have their own page.
yeah. Oh, yeah, we have the police department right there. And really, we could just make that a link where it says police department. That's another opportunity too, I think. After the police, we have the parks and open space, which brings us to the park area. And sewer authority. That is something that we don't have, that could be a possibility too, if that's not something I heard request wise, that just makes me wonder if people don't think about stuff like that, that is important to do. Any thought to put sewer on the side? I'm not chomping at the bit to put it, again, I think it's helpful, but maybe it's more pressing for others. Any other thoughts on
I
that?
don't know, that's something that's just kind of there and functioning.
Yeah, I think if they wanna search around for that, they'll see it on our site, hopefully. And obviously, if you click, well, not obviously, but my hope too is if you click parks, for me, if I click something like parks or history, voter maps, whatever I'm clicking, and I see this, oh, let's see what else is on here. I'm gonna start looking around
Yeah,
for things I want. I'm okay with what we have then. If anybody has any other ideas or anything else that they'd like to see on the sidebar,
we were adding budget and taxes.
Budget and
would
taxes.
Be like,
right, all these will be
Township.
links to the
Right.
inner township, like, so,
Right,
and we're
right.
taking off. I crossed it
Yeah.
off, I can't see a calendar. Great. And again, I know
September.
news is up there, but I think it's still important to have it repeated, just because that's kind of broad, and it really takes us more to the constant contact. Anything else we want to add to the main site? Any other ideas we could think of for this? I don't know if everybody's writing down, but here's kind of what we have. Now we're actually back. Let's go back here. We have welcome paragraph originally, but were we saying we want to keep that? Do we want to keep the welcome paragraph, or do we want to keep what we have there? So I know we talked about that again.
I thought we were going with the chairman's
Okay,
welcome.
double check it. And then we'll
Well,
have,
maybe it's a question as to whether this historical or this verbiage stays or not.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
I-
mean,
that's-
Yeah, I kind of like what's written there. I think it's very informative. But I also think it's important to have the welcome letter. That's why I was saying it's okay if the welcome letter is on the side.
Right, let's see
And
how
this is here.
yeah, let's see how it fits.
Yeah.
I agree. I like them both, so it's, because that does sum up a lot right there.
And it talked about some of the amenities too, which I think one of the people
Yeah.
asked for.
That is true,
Yeah.
and a couple of people did mention, especially. And amenities were everything from parks, so I kind of, figured that's there, people were asking, pavilions, can you rent, pavilions, playgrounds. Pass, that's where I kind of put amenities,
At the golf course.
I had a couple of questions. Golf course questions, that might just be people might not know that there is a golf course.
Uh-huh.
Like our new residents, that might be, that's not the first thing I say, is where's the golf course? I'm not- But so maybe that's a whole nother thing too.
But it's
But
in the-
yes,
Thing.
yeah, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right, it covers that. And I also like that it covers the villages. A lot of people, a lot of people are very at what villages there are, or that their village is part of the township.
Okay, so
So,
we're keeping that paragraph and adding the chairman's welcome paragraph.
yep. And do we want to move these then, the information to the bottom? They're good even in the middle, I think, too. They would be good, I think, anyway, aesthetically, and that is the police department administration.
See how it looks. I mean.
Yeah, that's where I see how it's, then the resident request portal we leave there. Possibly a picture of the township building.
Right.
Just make it more interesting too, so it's not the sole.
Yeah.
burden.
you're right, and then we add, and anything else on this side, the links for the welcome letter, we still want to put them on there and see how they look? Or now that we do the welcome letter, because that was kind of not fully established.
I thought we were going with
The links in addition.
Or
That's what I have, links for, from,
the,
that's what I want to double check, so we'll have those on there as well, and. Then a welcome letter link as well. That sounds correct to everybody?
I think definitely gonna have to play around with it to see
Yeah.
how everything like fits and looks, but yeah, I think it's a good start.
And then on the sidebar, we have the news, e-news sign up. Crossing off the calendar, because it would be on the top. And these are all links to take you to the specific for our website, the parks, the history, voting district maps, FAQs, quick reference guide, budget and taxes. As I go through these, I would be in favor of moving FAQs a little higher. Just if that's, that's for me, that when I see that, that's what I I'll go through them as a new, but I don't know. Then again, that's could be a last resort after you find this information. Any thoughts on those?
Even before, didn't we decide that recycle and garbage too, to have it there?
Yes, recycling and garbage on the main page, correct? Right.
Oh, I
did
thought
not
it
write
linked
that down.
here, like on this page.
No, because the link was only, and I'll say that the link was just on the FAQ, just gave a brief. It's one of the questions in many of the FAQs. There's no link for.
There was no link on the main page.
I thought we were looking for a sentence. or
Yes, a
two.
sentence to sum it up right there. And I think
putting
you
it-
guys brought that up. Let's finalize that now. I'm going back to what the FAQ said, which is trash and recycling pickup is through private haulers.
And then the recycle bin. I would,
It- could
Somehow
word it a
we
little
can
differently,
link
right?
that to that FAQ answer. I'm not sure, maybe we have to do our own. When you click on it, we have to retype it.
And what would be difficult with that to say, Terry? The FAQ is, they have so many FAQs here. So
Yes,
it's just
it is,
general, so
yeah.
And that was one of the questions people
No,
were
you're-
asking about, they want to know right away.
so that's why we're saying put it up, so I don't think we
If
would
they're
do.
moving,
I think the sentence would be for, to figure out, do we want to keep it exactly as this?
I
trash
think
and
it's important to keep it exactly the same, frankly.
No, it is, absolutely, and
Yeah.
if we did have to change that, we would have to. Just make sure approval, but you're right, so far we are keeping everything pretty much the same, which would be good for us to say, hey, let's do this as well.
So if they click
So we
on
could
that
say,
recycle garbage, then they would get that paragraph, but we may have to type it in ourselves instead of.
I don't think we'd be able to type that in, and I don't think it would be, and when I say change it, I would only mean, and I would ask approval, but just the idea of. Because if we say, so this you click for the answer of who do I contact for trash pickup? That sentence makes sense to me, based upon a quick answer for that, but by itself, it just sounds a little odd. So if there's one more word to say, for trash and recycling, or trash and recycling pickup. Is done through private haulers, like just one more word, you know what I mean, where is completed through private haulers, whatever the word might be, that's what I meant by that. Just, if you just put trash and recycling pickup is through private haulers, that could work, but.
How about something more like you, in our township, you choose your own private hauler.
And and I like that, but then we're going too far away from what it says, I think, if the consensus would be keep it, not, keep it simple, I agree
Yeah.
with too. I like that, and that's what I was thinking originally, so we could just say. All trash and recycling, or trash and recycling pickups are through private haulers, what's.
I'm not understanding why we're changing it.
Okay,
Only
and
because
if it sounds good to everybody, that works for me, it just feels like it could be worded differently, but it's like trash and recycling pickup is through private haulers, if that works, I'm good with it.
I'm
Let's do it then.
I'm concerned though, like if we're changing it, that's something that's already on the website. I think we need approval from the township. We're gonna make,
But
Well, we would
what you
need-
just said is.
This is what the website says, yeah, just worded theirs again,
but
and
we're not just the whole thing. What about the recycle bins that are free for new residents? I
what
think
the-
that should be.
that would be
down.
another question separately, which says recycling bins are available free of charge for new residents at the township office. So we could just take those two sentences
Okay,
to
and-
alleviate people from clicking all over here,
Okay.
and that's kind of what I was getting at as well. I agree, if there was a way we could click it to go right to it, so we didn't have to do anything.
Right,
But because it just brings you to the FAQs, there's, and you can see there has to be. at
yes.
least
That's
a dozen, might be 2 dozen from here. That said too, I just want to clarify. All that we're doing would need approval, so the whole
Right.
idea of doing it, so everything would need, it wouldn't just be like, we'd like to add this, it would be, here's what we have, here's why we did it. What do you think?
My concern was just changing the wording on some of the website that's already worded.
You're right.
in One
We can't-
section, yeah.
And it is,
Yeah.
and not just a concern, but it makes it simpler for us and simpler for everyone else, from another perspective. Someone comes to, me and says, hey, this is what we have. I'm more sure if it means anything, from a board perspective, than if it's the same on the website, rather than change it, it starts a whole nother conversation. Thank you for that. So that's definitely important to do. So just to clarify one more time, I'll just read both sentences back to back and make sure it sounds okay in that capacity. And we can just randomly put it, and that's what I was asking, does it sound okay just randomly
Right.
saying that, or we need to say for trash, to make it more, that's what I meant by that question. I'll read it together. Trash and recycling pickup is through private haulers. Recycling bins are available free of charge for new residents at the township office. That does, it works good for
Yeah.
both. So we put that in there as well. Good point bringing up trash again. I'm looking one more time at our list. I know we usually wrap it up by now, but I do appreciate everybody. This is very good to get done here. The other thing was utility providers and their contact. I don't see that as relevant right now necessarily. Anybody else? And that means like Verizon, Comcast, whatever they would use. I think that would be an FAQ as well.
So many possibilities.
There is, and I don't want to promote, I don't even say, I don't even say more than this out loud,
Yeah.
in general. For the record, I don't. So, so I don't see anything specifically in the FAQ that says that, so I'm okay leaving that out, even though we have people ask that, that's something that I think.
They could ask their neighbors.
Yeah, if they ask and then ask again, we'll figure out. Plus, we've also established that they do a good job at soliciting them on their own.
There you go.
It's kind of what gave us our idea. So I'm good with that. Same with sports. I obviously, know I'm coming from coaching literally tonight as well again, and that's important to me, but I think that's stuff that might not necessarily be necessary on here because it could be poked around. That was another big one I had. Everything else I think is covered. Except meetings. Meetings aren't, but I think that could go with calendar.
Right,
And
right.
I would hope that people would put two together. Fire is the other one that I had. Not as many, but there's definitely 2 or 3. I know we have fire and
Fire
here.
ambulance too.
Don't know, we have
Well,
ambulance on here. But I'd be okay putting fire if there's a link, because the other good thing it does too is, it could promote the idea, especially new resident volunteer.
right.
Hey, I volunteer. That's important. I don't think we hear with you. I don't know if we have anything on here, but what we could do. And this is up, we could just simply put a link to the fire
Mhm.
website. If we have a link in here.
But that will take you out of the
You're right,
website,
don't
which is
do that.
something we wanted to avoid.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just leave that alone for now. Thought for sure we had fire listed on here, but I don't see it. And we have the police, might be under the same.
The thing with fire service though is everybody knows
911.
911.
Yeah,
Right, right.
yeah, I'm okay leaving it off
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
that time being, particularly, thank God, we don't want to take it away from this. I don't see it on our website. A lot of the police information, but yeah, hopefully it's 291. So other than that, I think we covered a lot that I would like to see on it.
Gets us to a decent draft.
It does, and I say a lot, you're keeping it simple. I mean, we cut a lot, which I think that shows that we're working and paying attention. That's good. Any other suggestions or comments on this? And then for the next step, how do we want to do this? Is this something, I don't want to throw it all on you, John, per se, not even suggesting that, I'm only saying that because you did this one here. But, is that something that we could help you with?
No,
would you like to do?
I'll make it part of the minutes. I'll draft what I heard here, create a new draft page. And make it part of the minutes and we can pick it up next time from that point. See.
Okay,
And
thank you, John.
I, yeah,
I agree, I like you, really, this was a great starting point, it really was.
as I had so many different ideas that, not to waste time, but just different ideas. And pretty much I say ideas, but just combinations of other websites that I couldn't figure out how to put it just plainly. It's so simple, but that's what it is trying to get that simple because I wanted to have this and that, but I like this a lot. It's much more direct. I want to say two. Again, I hope that it would look like this, you know, we can make it just look like this, but one of the things, if anything, we can suggest a landing page that would have this information. I think that that's great, you know, if it's, because I don't know if Holly will want to put it up, whether she'll do it or Mike or how that will work. We could definitely push, hey, I think this layout is, and that's why I said the simplicity of it, because that was what was going through my head. How can we make this doable, you know, for the staff? You don't want to make it, I was thinking different graphics that you're looking at.
But this is
everything
This
that's
is
already there.
model, if you look at the
Exactly.
website, this is.
That's what I love about it. It seems like, as we said, if you could just copy the back code and then just put in the text, it should be great. Well, I think we covered, I know we covered a lot on this. We've had some good discussions.
As we've said all along, I think the big piece that we get out of this is there will be a specific page which then gives us knowledge. You are to this page, as the other communications. You can start, you know, directing people to this page, not the.
Right.
The broader website, so there's,
And that
just having the page will open possibility.
yeah, and I mean, if somebody's in here and they just want, or are getting the information they need, these are the things that are most requested from new residents. So whether they ask for it or not, it might be something they're thinking of too, which I think is fantastic. Well, thank you, everybody, for that. That was a lot that we did, and I appreciate that. Any other questions or concerns or anything else on the new resident page? I do want you all know, and I definitely know that I mentioned it to the board, and the board, you know, has said, even at the end of the meetings, good job with that. You know, that's some team was asking, it's supportive. It has been, the whole board has been very supportive. And I do feel that when I go to the board and tell them, hey, we spent an hour, you know, breaking this down, it holds some more, you know, for me at least, you know, I get that too. Wow, some work went into this. So I do appreciate everybody's work and efforts that go into this. And I think that helps them a lot, helps them go a long way here. So moving on, we had nothing scheduled for new business, and I know time-wise, we want normal than, a lot longer than normal, but I just want to throw out there, as I said, I did confirm with our township manager that our original letter to the businesses, I know we discussed it last time a little bit too. They were going out with the inspectors, but we kind of run into, you know, our original goal was we had the funds, we had the budget to do that, and by getting them out to everybody, I feel then it's easier to not have to go back and recycle, and I know we all kind of talked about that, so I did talk to him about the idea of getting them sent out, and he said that they will be sent out and mailed in the next coming weeks. I volunteered to help, I know we all did, you know, the stuff. He says he really shouldn't take too long, they were pretty good with that, but after, again, pushing for that push, said they'll let us know, but the good news is that these are definitely going to be going out. They are original letters with the quick reference that we had asked to display, and they do have a list of all the current businesses that we obtained through the same with the fire inspections. So I just wanted to let the committee know that that's great news, that we're going to get them out officially, make sure they're all out there as well. And hopefully we can start seeing them up on businesses. It's a goal of ours. So I think through these months, definitely it's exciting. I like that. And then and then again, thank you for everybody's work on that too. That'd be exciting to see what happens with that. The only other thing I put down prior to being here is just the digital welcome as well. I think that that's something that you know, we can explore whether we want to just have that PDF and say, here, all your new residents, you know, or residential facilities, here's a PDF to our welcome letter. You know, when we upgrade it, we'll send you a new one. That way they can just have the PDF. That's something that we could discuss in the future too. I don't think, as I say it out loud, that could simply be it. There's not too much to discuss, but I wrote it down as we were talking about it as well. That said, any other new business we have immediately? I think next week it's important to just kind of first go over the new layout, or next month, yeah, don't have to be here next week.
Thank you.
was the fourth Sylvia Planning Commission meeting next week, but, you don't have to be here. It is viewable online too. But I think we should definitely go over the new layout, finalize that, which I think we should be able to do. And I don't know how long that would take. I'd like to throw more here too, but I think keeping that right now is important. Going from there, that will encourage us to finalize it so that we will have it. And then hopefully we can just send give a sample to the board at our next meeting after that. But I think we covered a lot here. We're ready to take that step. Anybody have anything else that they like to add for the time being? Thank you, everybody. It was a great meeting. Again, we missed Jess, but we do appreciate everybody here. Missed Holly as well. Thank you. And our next meeting will be July. July 19th sounds about right. June 19th, we'll go July 19th. No, actually, we have July 17th. That's not easy, but July 17th would be the third. I have it on my
I was
calendar.
looking at June.
I have it on my calendar that I'll be here. But just a reminder for everybody as well as everybody. And if anybody has any conflicts, feel free to just let us know as well.
Should be fine.
All right. That said, I think we can officially
Motion to adjourn?
have a motion to adjourn in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody else is welcome to hang around here as well. Thank you, everybody, very much. This is just stop. Have a great evening. Thank you.